June, the Lily Fairy. One summer morning, Flutter the butterfly girl woke in a bad mood. All she could think about was where she had put the purple glitter pen that she had borrowed from Dolly. And she was also sad because of her giant daisies that were wilting in the sunshine. First I'll bake an apple pie for Bubble for tomorrow. Then I'll look for the pen. And after that I'll water my flowers, Flutter decided. While the pie was baking, Flutter made a jug of custard to go with it. But her cooking did not go well, and the pie crumbled into pieces. Then she heard a loud smashing sound. She hurried outside and saw that one of her shutters had fallen off. "Oh, and this as well!" she shouted and began to cry. Then she heard the sound of quiet humming coming from the lilies. "Oh, goodness! Hello, little lily fairy. My name's Flutter." But the fairy did not respond. "I'm happy you're here, but sadly I'm not in a very good mood today," Flutter sniffled. And as she was talking, she accidentally knocked the jug over and custard spilt into the pie dish. "Great! Now the pie will be fine. I'll just have to serve it with a spoon," she smiled. She was so happy that she grabbed the tiny fairy and spun around on the spot with her. As she spun, she knocked over the spade that was leaning against the wall. She bent over to pick the spade up, but the lily fairy pointed directly at the daisies. "You think I should dig them up?" "Very well, I'll try." She soon dug down to the roots where she found a green grub. "So you're the one little grub making my daisies droop. Go and chew on something else." Then Flutter reburied the daisy roots. She watered them well, and they soon began to straighten their stems. She suddenly saw something twinkle in the soil. "I found the screw that fell out of my window." As quick as a flash, they screwed the shutter back into place. "It's fixed," she said, and went back into the house again. Flutter placed the lily fairy on the table and accidentally knocked a string of pearls off the cupboard. So she got down on her knees to pick up the scattered pearls. Then she had a super surprise. She brushed under the cupboard and accidentally found the purple pen she thought was lost forever. "Hooray! I sorted my pie, cured my daisies, I fixed the window, and now I found the pen!" She laughed with delight. "You see, there was no need to sob," said the lily fairy from nowhere. "You can talk?" Flutter asked with surprise. "Yes, but there was no need until now, because you put everything right on your own." "Not on my own, with your help. I'm so happy that you're here. Everybody is going to Bubbles' house tomorrow, and I'll introduce you to all of them," Flutter enthused. "I won't be here tomorrow," the fairy told her. "I'll wake up in a different lily, where someone is sad and needs me." "Please stay," Flutter pleaded, and she took the lily fairy in her hand. The fairy smiled warmly at the butterfly girl, and then suddenly turned into fairy dust and floated up into the night sky. The next day, Flutter could hardly wait to tell the others about the lily fairy. "It's a shame we couldn't meet her," said Balthazar. "Maybe she'll pay you a visit one day," Flutter smiled.
Sunflowers. Berry and Dolly planted sunflower seeds in the spring and watered the seeds until little shoots soon appeared. The shoots grew into little plants that grew into big plants. Then buds appeared that opened into lovely yellow flowers in the summer. Hooray! The friends cheered when they saw the lovely flowers. Berry noticed that the flowers pointed one way in the morning and another in the afternoon. Look, Dolly, they're turning their heads. That's because they always turn to face the sun. That's why they're called sunflowers. When the sun went down, the sunflowers hung their heads and went to sleep. All the forest friends were woken the next morning by shouts of panic. Oh dear, what's happened? Our lovely sunflowers, Dolly cried. Who could have done such a terrible thing? Berry wept. Someone has chewed through the stems of our sunflowers. Flutter washed their wounds with fresh dew, and Dolly bandaged them all with soft blades of grass. The sunflowers slowly started to smile again. The friends all gathered in Balthazar's house to decide what to do next. What are we going to do? Berry sobbed. Someone needs to stand guard at night. I'll go first, said Dolly bravely. The little ladybird hid quietly behind the bush and kept a close eye on the sunflowers. She didn't have to wait for very long. A hamster soon appeared and started to chew at the stems of the sunflowers. Dolly jumped out from her hiding place and shouted, "Shoo!" This surprised the hamster and he ran away. He didn't come back again that night. Flutter guarded the sunflowers the next night, and then Balthazar, and then Stanley. Soon it was Berry's turn. The little snail hid quietly behind the bush and waited. He waited and waited until he eventually fell asleep. He wasn't even woken by the sound of the hamster chewing at the sunflower stems. Oh dear, I must have fallen asleep. I didn't guard the sunflowers, Berry sobbed when he saw the sadly sagging sunflowers the following morning. Berry fell asleep. He slept while the hamster chewed the stems again. Why do you all look so sad? Asked Dr. Owl. Dolly told him what had happened to the sunflowers. I think you should talk to the hamster. Ask him not to hurt the sunflowers, Dr. Owl suggested. There he is. He's asleep in the bush, Berry whispered to the others. The noise woke the sleeping hamster. The hamster looked scared of the friends and the friends felt frightened of the hamster. There's no need to be scared of us. We just wanted to ask you not to chew our sunflowers. But then what will I eat? The hamster told them. We'll bring you plenty of apples and carrots to nibble on. Where do you live? The little snail asked. I haven't got a house of my own, the hamster said sadly. You haven't got a house? Balthazar repeated in surprise. Then we'll build you one. Dolly brought apples, Berry brought seeds, Flutter brought raisins, Balthazar brought dandelion leaves and Stanley brought carrots. My new house is really super, the hamster said with a cheery smile. And thank you so much for all the yummy food. The hamster never chewed the sunflower stems again, and they smiled happily at Berry and Dolly and all their friends for the rest of the summer. The Sandcastle. On a sunny summer day, Berry, Dolly, Bubble and Balthazar put on their swimming costumes, grabbed their buckets and spades and set out for Sand Island to build castles. Look at this huge watermelon, Balthazar said in surprise. Oh, let's take it with us, Berry suggested. Then we can all have a feast at the end of the day. OK, Berry, we'll take it. Berry, Dolly, Balthazar and Bubble carefully rolled the watermelon in front of them as they walked along. But when the friends got to the top of the hill, the round watermelon started to roll away down the slope. "Stop it!" Dolly shouted to the others. Bubble pounced on the watermelon, but he couldn't stop it. The baby beetle slipped off and bumped his head. The juicy watermelon just carried on rolling down the side of the hill. They all ran after it as fast as they could, but the watermelon was much faster than all of them. Then a terrible thing happened. The watermelon smashed into a sharp rock. "Our lovely watermelon smashed into pieces," Dolly moaned.
"Oh, the watermelon!"
Balthazar was very sad too.
"Why are you all complaining? Let's eat it instead,"
the baby beetle suggested. So the four friends sat down and started to munch on the watermelon. They ate the sweet red fruit until their tummies were full. "We'd better hurry to Sand Island, or there'll be no time left to build sandcastles."
"Dolly, wait for me. I'll fly with you,"
Balthazar said.
"Me too,"
Bubble added.
"But I can't fly. Are you three going to leave me here?"
Berry asked with a sad sob.
"Let's build boats out of the watermelon rind. This way Berry can sail to the island with us,"
Balthazar suggested. They selected 4 strong pieces of melon rind. 1 for Dolly, 1 for Berry, 1 for Balthazar, and 1 for Bubble. They made the masts out of strong branches and the sails out of large leaves. When they were done, they launched the little boats on the water, and the wind quickly carried them away to Sand Island.
"Hooray! We're sailing,"
Berry said with an excited squeak. They all got to Sand Island with plenty of time left to play.
"Look! Someone's coming! And he's got a bucket in his hand."
Indeed, there was a cheerful beetle walking towards them on the sandy shore.
"Who are you?"
Dolly asked.
"I'm Sean, the sand beetle. I live here and was about to build a sandcastle." "Really?" Balthazar asked. "Can we join you?"
"Of course you can. Let's all build together," Sean said with joy. The 5 of them built a grand sandcastle with all kinds of tunnels, towers and bridges. "Now all it needs is a flag on top," Dolly said. So she drew a picture of Sean on a leaf and stuck it in the very top of the castle. "That looks super! Does that mean it's my sandcastle now?" Sean said enthusiastically. When the sun went in, Dolly and her friends said goodbye to Sean and headed home. "Good night, King of the Castle!" Dolly shouted, waving goodbye to their new friend. Harry Hedgehog's birthday. One summer morning, Berry the snail, Dolly the ladybird and their forest friends were playing in the meadow. They were taking turns on the leaf swing. "It must be so much fun to play on that swing. It's a shame I'm too heavy for it," Harry Hedgehog sighed. His friends didn't know what to say. "It's Harry Hedgehog's 10th birthday next week," the ladybird said.
"He'll be 10 years old," the little snail nodded. "What do you think he'd like for his birthday?" "I know!"
Balthazar exclaimed and jumped to his feet.
"A swing!"
"That's a super idea! Let's make a big swing for Harry," Dolly said enthusiastically. The little friends got to work immediately. They brought a saw, a hammer, nails and screws and searched for some strong branches. They tied the swing to thick wooden poles with very strong string.
When the swing was ready, they all went to Balthazar's house to bake a cake. They cracked eggs and stirred the butter. The mixer whirred away and wooden spoons clattered in bowls. The little bee's kitchen was soon filled with delicious smells. They decorated the cake all over with cherries, raisins and walnuts. "Let's put candles on it," Flutter said. "Yes, 10 candles," Dolly nodded. "Let's write a letter to Harry," Berry said. "Dear Harry, please come to Balthazar's house at lunchtime. We'll all see you there." "Can you take it to Harry, please?" Berry asked. "But don't say a word about the cake and the swing," Dolly shouted after him. Balthazar and Stanley put the cake on a round table and carried it out of the house. The little ants were playing hide and seek, and suddenly the smallest ant ran right into the table. "You tipped the table over! The cake's ruined!" Balthazar moaned. "The cake? What are we going to do now?" Dolly sobbed. "Harry Hedgehog will be here any minute and he won't have a cake," Berry said sadly. The little ants felt very sorry for what they'd done, but one of them had an idea. "Let's gather lots of fruit and berries and build a big pile. It'll be almost like a cake, won't it?" "That's a good idea," Stanley said. "I know Harry loves fruit." Berry, Dolly, Balthazar, Stanley and the little ants began to gather fruit in the forest. Eddie the potato beetle, Zephyr the dragonfly and Rosita the rose beetle helped them too. They soon had a very big pile indeed. Stanley stuck 10 candles on top of the fruit, just seconds before Bubble arrived with Harry Hedgehog. "Happy birthday, Harry!" they all shouted. "Wow, look at all that delicious fruit, my favourite. Thank you very much," the hedgehog exclaimed. "We've got a surprise for you," Dolly said, and they led Harry to the swing. Harry was very surprised. "What a big swing! Can I use it?" he asked cheerfully. "Yes, we built it for you," Berry replied. "Hooray! Now I can swing too! Thank you so much," Harry said thankfully. Then they stood around the fruit pile and began to eat. They ate and ate until nearly all the fruit was gone. They stuck the leftover apples and pears on Harry's spikes, and he took them home to his mossy house. Harry went to bed with a happy smile and looked forward to tomorrow, when he'd swing with his friends again. Berry's picture. One cloudy afternoon, Dolly the ladybird girl took out her brushes and paints. "I'm going to paint a rainbow," she decided. "Good idea," Berry agreed. "And I'm going to paint a bunch of flowers." They both got straight to work. Dolly carefully painted the coloured lines of a rainbow, and Berry worked hard on his bunch of flowers. He painted 3 tulips, a harebell and a daisy. "I only need to paint a ribbon and it's done. I have to hurry because Stanley, Balthazar and Bubble are coming over this afternoon." But just then, Dolly knocked a glass over that was standing in the middle of the table, and water poured all over Berry's painting. The lovely colourful painting began to run and the lines all smudged. "Dolly, you ruined my painting." "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It was an accident." "But it's still ruined," Berry sulked and stamped out of the door. "I'm going home." "Berry, wait! Let's try and fix it," Dolly said, sounding rather unsure, but the snail boy didn't even look back.
In the meantime, the clouds vanished and the sky cleared. When Berry got home, he put his soaked painting out in the sunshine. His picture very soon dried, but now it was crinkly and blotchy. Berry stared sadly at his painting, and then he gave a big sigh and threw it down on his bed. Balthazar, Stanley and Bubble will be here soon. I need to tidy up. The door soon opened and his little friends appeared.
Hi, Berry.
We're here.
And we brought the cards with us too.
Come inside. The snail boy invited them in and they sat around the table. Balthazar shuffled the cards, Stanley dealt, and they started to play. Bubble was soon out of the game. He was strolling around the room and he noticed the picture lying on the bed. He picked it up and stared at it in awe.
Goodness me, Berry, it's beautiful. Did you paint it?
He asked inquisitively. Berry was surprised and stuttered.
Yes, I painted it.
They all began to question Berry. Was it your idea? Will you show us how you did it? Stanley quizzed.
How did you make it so beautiful?
Asked Balthazar. Berry just shrugged and said,
Yes, it was my idea. It's no big deal. I'd love to show you how to make one.
Just then, Dolly walked into the house. She was carrying a large plate of cakes and offered it shyly to Berry. I baked these, Berry. I'm sorry that I ruined your picture. The others all stared at Berry in confusion. Mumbled Balthazar.
So it wasn't really your idea?
It wasn't my idea. It all happened by accident, Berry began. Dolly knocked the water over, the colours all ran and the painting went all wobbly. I put it out in the sun to dry and then I decided to keep it and not throw it away.
It's a good job you didn't throw it away. Could I have it? A lovely bunch of flowers like this would look just lovely on a flower beetle's wall.
Of course you can have it, Bubble. I'm sorry that I got so cross. I'm not upset with you, Berry. I brought my rainbow painting with me and I'd like you to have it.
Thank you, Dolly. I love it. I'm going to put it on the wall.
Would you like to join our game? The snail boy asked Dolly. I'd love to. And we can eat cake at the same time, the ladybird girls said with glee. The Moon Beetle. The Moon Beetle lived in a little moon-shaped house. He had moon-shaped antennae on his head, and his wings were also shaped like tiny moons. But he couldn't fly because his wings were too thin. He was happy just to sit in the grass and look at the shape of the clouds. His little legs were also weak, and so he could neither fly nor walk. But the little spider helped him with everything. The Moon Beetle sat in a moon-shaped armchair with wheels and they took short walks together. If the Moon Beetle was hungry, little spider pushed him to the table. He tucked the Moon Beetle into bed at night. Little spider never left the Moon Beetle's side and he always knew exactly what he needed and when. He also knew when he didn't need help. But the moon chair wasn't good for longer journeys. When he went on longer journeys, he always called on his old friend the centipede for help. So that is how they went collecting mushrooms in the forest and enjoyed trips to the puppet show. And that's how they went to pick strawberries in the summer months. The centipede was happy to carry the Moon Beetle on his back. But one summer day, the centipede received a letter. Look at this, he said excitedly. It's from Reggie Squirrel. He's invited me to visit him. I'm leaving tomorrow. What will happen to me? The Moon Beetle asked in a sad voice. How will I go to Alfonso's violin concert tomorrow?
Wait, we'll think of something, the centipede said. If only I could go to the concert on my own without help, the Moon Beetle sighed. I know what would be good. If you had a chair that you could push yourself in. A rolling chair. A wheelchair, the Moon Beetle repeated. Yes, that would be really good. The centipede produced a pencil and started to design the contraption. When the design was completed, they both went to see Eddie, the potato beetle. He was very handy and could make anything. Eddie studied the design and then got straight to work. He brought his tools, all the parts, and he drilled and hammered. The wheelchair was ready that same afternoon. Sit in it, try it out, Eddie said, and he helped the Moon Beetle into the chair. Now try and push it, the centipede encouraged his friend. The Moon Beetle carefully turned the ring attached to the wheel, and the chair began to move. Hooray! Eddie cheered. This will be my legs, the Moon Beetle whispered quietly, and he smiled. The sunbeams gently stroked his weak legs. They practiced until late in the day. The Moon Beetle slowly learned how to direct, speed up, slow down, and stop the chair. The next day, the Moon Beetle made his way to the Cricket's concert all on his own. Take care of yourself, the little spider shouted after him in a worried tone. The others were surprised and all ran to greet him. Hey, you got here on your own? Berry asked, and took a good look at the chair. Yes, all on my own, the Moon Beetle proudly announced, and he told them all about the new contraption. Alfonso's concert soon began. All the forest friends had come along to hear him play. After the concert, Berry and Dolly walked home with the Moon Beetle. The little spider was sitting in the window waiting for his friend to return, safe and sound.
Friends. It was a super sunny day and Dolly the ladybird sat staring out of the window. I'm going to eat breakfast, she thought, and then I'll go for a walk in the meadow. She decided to take her wheelbarrow with her. I wonder if I'll find something interesting to take home in my wheelbarrow, she thought to herself. Goodness me, said Dolly. What a lovely red cherry. That's just perfect for my lunch. She tried to lift the cherry into her wheelbarrow, but it was far too heavy. Too heavy for one little ladybird. Just then, Berry the snail appeared. Why the sad face, ladybird? Asked Berry. I can't lift this cherry into my wheelbarrow, Dolly replied. Don't cry, I'll help you, Berry said with a smile, and the two of them picked the cherry up with no trouble at all. Dolly set straight off home with the juicy cherry. Now it was Berry who looked sad. Don't you want to share the cherry with me? The snail said, and stamped his little foot. I did help you. But I found it first, Dolly snapped. You're not having any, it's mine. Berry was very upset. The two of them started to fight over the cherry. It's mine, shouted Dolly. That's not fair, Berry shouted back. They pushed and pulled the cherry until it split clean in two. Berry and Dolly plopped to the ground.
They were very surprised when a green grub crawled out of the cherry.
"What have you done to my cherry?"
he grumbled.
"That cherry was my home." "Oh, don't look so upset,"
the grub said.
"I know where we can find plenty more. You can eat cherries while I find a new home for myself."
Dolly helped the grub into her wheelbarrow, and they all set off to look for the cherry tree. When they arrived, they found the ground around the cherry tree was covered in ripe red fruit. Berry and Dolly jumped for joy. The grub fell fast asleep while Berry and Dolly munched away on fresh cherries, and the time soon flew by. It was getting late, so they decided to go home, but this time with 2 cherries, one for Dolly and one for Berry. The sun was setting by the time they reached Berry's house. They took his cherry out of the wheelbarrow and said goodbye. Berry went inside and waved to Dolly from the window. Berry soon fell fast asleep after such an exciting day. The little snail dreamt about playing in cherries with Dolly and eating until their tummies were full. Then Dolly got back home and went straight to bed. From that day on, Berry and Dolly were the best of friends.